Hi, I'm Tony Mitra, same old Tony Mitra, and this is the 1st of September 2020. Summer is over, and I'm here to talk about a few things that I don't hear much among the people around here or around the world with regard to the COVID situation and our loss of sovereignty and freedom. In fact, I don't see anything at all about it much. And this is why I decided to make this post to disclose it, to put on record at least my version of what should be talked about, what should be discussed, what ought to be in focus of people. And unfortunately, they are not. Okay, so I will talk about the opposition, the forces that are trying to conduct a global heist by destroying every nation's sovereignty and freedom and liberty for personal gain of a scale that has never seen in human history, I think, before. And the strength of this group, the extent of their power, to the best of my knowledge, their strength and weaknesses, and what are the tools at their disposal, and what they are likely to try to do. On the other side, the opposition group, the people who realize that this is not about a virus, but it's about our liberty and our freedom, and it's all being taken away. It's probably already gone, more or less. Their strength and their weaknesses, where they stand, and what they should be doing instead of what they are doing, in my judgment, right now. These are the issues that I don't hear being talked about. There are lots of protests all over the world, but I don't hear much talked about. I also don't hear much talk about actual analysis of the strength and weakness of the resistance group, the protest group themselves, especially here in Canada. If Canada is at all suited to fight its battle, there is a good argument that Canada is not suited, and what should be done. So these are the topics I will try to cover today. And that's, I think, needs to be mentioned. And since it is not being mentioned, it becomes my duty to do so. At least I feel it is my duty to do so. And up to now, at least the private channels and so on still allow me to record this and put it up. Maybe in future, even that will not be allowed. So, okay, the opposition, the so-called globalists, so-called New World Order. What is their strength? What can they do? To the best of my knowledge, I will just list out 7, 8, or 9 things. Number one, they control the money supply. All the banks, all the institutions that handles money are controlled by this, including the reserve banks of most of the countries, and they can literally shut your money supply down if they wanted. Cash is disappearing. Cash is going to go sooner or later. In Canada, it's already almost gone. And therefore, it's only electronic money, and they can shut it off just like that. This is one of their strengths. They can take your money away and hobble you instantly, without dropping a bomb, without firing a shot. That's number one. They control internationally powerful institutions that everybody likes to listen to, such as United Nations organization and all the daughter concerns under it, such as World Health Organization or WHO and many others. They absolutely control it. 3. The international mega corporations, such as Google or whatever, Microsoft, Facebook, and so on, uh, they are part and partners of this cabal, of this globalist cabal. So they control, those corporations are in their control. They work according to the plan. Number 4, all the governments, willingly or unwillingly, almost all the governments are facilitating and acting as collaborators of the system. Either they are wholesale, willfully doing it, knowing what is being done, and waiting to get their share as a local collaborator of an emperor or a dictator or a warlord, or they are being intimidated and bullied into doing so. Why? Because they can shut off a country like this if they want, by shutting off your money supply as just one of the tools. They control all the national institutions, which means the political parties, the media, the academia, the big pharma, big industries, everything. The government institutions that control many aspects, such as medical system or agriculture and transportation and media and communication, all this, they are controlled. And they are working for the cabal. The affluent society, people more or less like you and me, who are supposed to be middle class, upper middle class, upwardly mobile middle class, those who have disposable income and who like to save their income, not money, not as just loose cash in the bank account, but they buy stocks and shares and mutual funds and so on. They usually invest on corporations whose values are going up, and the corporations whose values are going up are the exact ones that are partners of the globalist system. It is those corporations whose share values are going up, like Amazon, for instance, or Microsoft, whereas mom and pop shops are enterprises are destined to fail. They're designed to fail, go dead. So all these middle class with disposable income, even a little bit of a disposable income, even if they don't know how to invest, they will put it into some funds, mutual funds and so on. Those are investing on those corporations, and they know, everybody knows, that their wealth is related to the well-being of these corporations, and they do not want to become a pauper, so therefore they are aligning themselves to the corporations. And this is something that the resistance group needs to be aware of. If they want to bring those people over, they need to be aware of these things. The military and the enforcement systems like police and so on, paramilitary of almost all the countries are controlled by their governments, who are being used to execute the global order. That's their strength. And perhaps the only exception is the US military, the most potent global force of them all. And that is because the commander-in-chief, the US president, current US president, it is not certain that he is willing to play ball with them. He is an enigma, which is, I think, one of the biggest concerns of this cabal. That is why everybody is hell-bent to get him defeated in the coming election. So in a way, one could say that the US military and the current president are perhaps the only notable weakness of this international cabal, the only that I can think of. The other, the most important potential weakness of the cabal is the population on Earth, the total human population of 7+ billion people, because the cabal cannot bribe 7 billion people. They cannot. They can bribe 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, but not 7 billion. So therefore, it is important to keep them hypnotized, misguided, misinformed, and compliant. This is why every institution that can influence a person's mind are being controlled by the cabal to make sure that the 99.999% of the population follows the official line. These are the strength of the forces that are trying to take your liberty away. There might be more, but these are the few that comes to my mind offhand. Now, the thing is, I'm not a crystal ball reader. I don't have a crystal ball. And I might be wrong. I might have missed some points. I might have added some points here that were not so relevant. But the thing is, these issues are not being discussed among the protest groups, about the people openly, transparently, with a lot of input going back and forth and shared. So as a result, this is what I have, and it frustrates me that these things are not being discussed. Now, about the resistance, what about us, the people who are supposed to, try to push back at this enormous forces that is trying to change the world for the worse? Well, in Canada, the protesters' numbers are absolutely pitiful. We have too many groups, way too many groups, with too many leaders, way too many leaders, chasing way too few followers. We have a top-heavy organization with nobody at the bottom and everybody on top fighting with each other. And the followers themselves, they are mostly very old. A lot of them are armchair activists. They cannot even go out of home because they're so old or one way or another restricted and so on. The actual people to put boots on the ground are horrifically small as a percentage of the population. So according to me, the numbers are pitiful. There is no, there is no will to create a unified front. There seems to be a lack of vision. Whatever they do seem to be just surface items. Mask, vaccine, these are not the ultimate aim of the people who are trying to steal your liberty. These are only tools to a very, very serious end, including maybe mass extermination of people and total subjugation of mankind. So almost all the resistance group like to be surface dwellers. They like to be focusing on the symptoms of the disease instead of the disease itself. And there is no effort to make a grassroots movement. There is a lack of vision. I find it pretty frustrating from my point of view. If you want to dig deeper, the Canadian resistance is really, really depressing, at least to me. Last, Commonwealth countries. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, these kind of Commonwealth countries, there are some people who think that we are the least suited to actually fight back against this takeover. Most other countries might be better suited than us, and Canada is one of the worst of the lot. Why? I don't know why, but one of the things is we don't have a proper constitution, and it's not just the presence of having the constitution, a book by which you can say instruction manual of how a country is supposed to function. It's not the book itself, it's the process. It's the will of the people to demand that this guidebook by which the democracy is to function in a country must be ratified by the people, must be agreed upon by the people, and if do not agree, it has to be modified and remodified till a vast majority of the people accept it and then it becomes a guideline, and it cannot be overturned just like that. You cannot overrule it by declaring an emergency and this and that on fictitious grounds. You cannot let diktat from an unelected non-state actor like Bill Gates or WHO to overturn your country's lifestyle and all that. So these are part of the reasons, but basically the people never having a ratified constitution goes to show the history and the mindset of the people. These people have the wrong mindset, and why these countries are like this is, some believe, and I too believe so, is because they were created as a throwback from the British imperialist mindset, colonial mindset, where they gave up outright direct rule in bits and pieces, but set it such that it still remains under control, if not directly, indirectly. And the people who will control them are the corporations that have these wide tentacles everywhere. And if not directly the king or the queen or the government of UK, but it's still not the will of the people. And the people never woke up to the fact that this is not how democracy is supposed to run. It's supposed to actually get engaged, roll up their sleeves and engaged, go hammer and tong and preparing a proper constitution, have it ratified, and then hold it like the ultimate law by which the country must function. The politicians cannot, go around it and just sidestep it anytime they feel like. The Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms in Canada is a joke. So majority of the politicians in the provincial level and a lot on the federal level don't even know it, that Canada doesn't have a government that is actually where the public have actually accepted that this to be governed by this government. The government is technically illegal. It doesn't matter who is prime minister, which party wins. The government, ever since it was formed, for a century and more, has been illegal, and people don't even know it. We are that apathetical, we are that horrible, we are that ignorant. Even politicians don't know. Of course, higher up politicians do know. The cabinet ministers, the prime minister, and so on, even the premiers of the provinces, I'm sure they know. And they have no interest to change the system. They are direct beneficiaries of this system where the people don't have rights, but they have the illusion of having rights. So they will not tell you. And rest of them are uninformed fools going around as elected politicians, idiots. And that's one of the reasons countries like Canada doesn't have a history of rising up for their rights. None of these countries have, neither Australia, all of them got it handed down to them, like a street urchin who begs for food or 2 coins and all to go buy candy. They got it handed down, and they all think this is hunky-dory. Government always looks after my interest. Why? Because democracy is supposed to be, God-given right. It falls from the sky like snowflakes. But that's wrong. Democracy and freedom is not God's gift. It doesn't come down like snowflakes. You have to fight for it. You have to earn it. And Canadians never earned it. So the people that think Canada, Australia, New Zealand are the least suited, they have good points. And I can see the result. You can see that the degree of discussion and the level of discussion of the protest groups, it goes to show you have no clue what the hell you are handling. Anyway, so to do something, what should have been done by the protest groups? To make no mistake, the opposition is enormously challenged. It's like, you are a bacteria looking at the skin of the elephant. The elephant is trying to destroy your lifestyle, and you're looking at the elephant and little nicks and corners on its skin and a little, hairs coming out, and you're wondering what is this, how to deal with it. That's nothing. You have to first go back and see the elephant and see what it can do before you can decide what to do. So it's something like that. There is a saying in India that when the blind man first came across an elephant and started feeling it by the touch, he saw the four legs, it knew it was a huge animal, and then it came to the trunk, which also reached the ground, and he's never seen an animal with that kind of a nose, so he thought it was another leg, so he concluded that the elephant has 5 legs. So this is how we are looking at the opposition. We have no clue what the hell the opposition is about. Now, to do something, to get a clue, to do something that is meaningful, this is what I would have thought the resistance should have done. Should have. It's my opinion. I have a right to my opinion. Number one, they should have dissolved all these mini groups. Group after group after group after group in real life or on the street, but most of it on social media. This group, that group, that group. It's like a cancer, the mushrooming of groups, and enormous number. So all these leaders should resign. They should sack themselves. The groups should be abolished, and everybody should be out in the public under one umbrella. Not my group or your group, and everyone says we have the solution. We have to unite. I agree. All of you come and join me. Everybody others say, no, all of you come in. They're bloody ridiculous. You should not have so many different names. This itself makes it confusing. There were 1.5 million people in Berlin, and you don't hear a name of any groups, not even a leader. They're all people protesting the lockdown. And here, you have 2.5%, 20 per people standing on the roadside and 5 different groups. This is height of ridiculous. I mean, they look, to me, these protest groups look like bunch of monkeys. That is one reason I do not go to groups anymore. I'm done with groupism. I hate groupism. Okay, so they should resign, dissolve all the freaking groups, join under a single umbrella as a first step on a leaderless movement of grassroots. Stop calling your leader. You don't even deserve to be a goddamn follower. And you call yourself leader. You get off your high horse and join the people. Okay, once you have done that, once there is some sort of a unified group, even if it is minuscule, at least it is bigger than individual little things, then you need to do a few things. First, organize a brainstorming session among those who are still capable of thinking outside the box. Most of these people cannot think outside the box. Some might. And there might be some people who are not leaders who are keeping quiet, and they need to pull them out because they have the ability to think outside the box and dig deeper than the surface and identify the disease instead of the fucking symptom. You need to find them and bring them out and have a discussion. Try to identify what sort of a creature you're facing and what sort of a creature you're trying to oppose. This brainstorming is absolutely necessary, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody does it, as far as I know. And this is one reason I'm so disgusted with all these resistance groups. Okay, then, once you have done that, you have made a group, you have done analysis, and you have identified the enemy. You have to figure out his strengths and weaknesses and where is his Achilles heel. What is it that you should concentrate on and try to bring him down without you being submerged or squashed or literally stamped to death in the process. If the enemy is as powerful as I suspect he is not going to take it lying down. Right now he can afford to ignore you. They can afford to ignore the resistance because resistance is so insignificant that they don't deserve to be noticed. But if the resistance unifies and becomes a potent force and begins to hurt the interest of the cabal, then they will notice you, they will target you, and they will try to stop you. They are not going to take it lying down. Obviously not. And at stake is the entire goddamn planet. It's not about one city or one little province. They want to capture the planet. They are not going to take it lying down just because 3 little groups of people of 50 or 100 or even 1 million don't like to be bossed over. So what are the tools they're going to use? Are they going to bring out the army? Are they going to lock up millions of people? Are they going to shut off the money so that they don't have to do anything? You just starve because you can't buy anything. You don't have any money that the food grower wants to exchange with you, and therefore he doesn't want to give you anything. As it is, the food supply is going to drop for multiple reasons. One is the production, one is the distribution, one is the storage, one is money. There are a whole lot of things. They can shut off many, many things. So what are you going to do? What are your plan? A, plan B, plan C, plan D for all these crises if they become big and they start noticing you. Not having a leader is an advantage. They don't know whom to arrest. They cannot arrest 7 billion people. So these are the things that need to be discussed, and they are not being discussed. And these are the reasons I am on one side frustrated. I'm actually outraged that these are not being talked about. And nobody has a time. There's lots of people making lots of speeches, lots of places. I don't watch them. I mean, first of all, let's think of it this way. All the speeches of the protest group, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s, they are all preaching to the choir. They are all talking to people who are already converted, and those who are not converted, they are not listening to you. That is why the unconverted remains stable and strong and outrageously large. So, obviously you need a tactic, some tactic to bring over those people who are non-believers, who do not believe you. Those people that believe what they are being told through the television, through the media, through the politicians, and through Bill Gates or what WHO or Bonnie Henry or Teresa Tam or whatever, all these, Anthony Fauci, those that believe him, and they are being plastered with information from everywhere. How to bring them over? Telling them they are stupid, don't look at the TV is not a good enough reason. They think you're nuts. So what should be your tactic to still bring them or pull them over? Why is the media not in your control? Why is the media telling lies? That's because we, our parents and our grandparents, let the control of a lot of institutions, the pillars of democracy, to slip away from the grip of the people and go to the hands of the corporations. We have allowed the shit to happen over 3 generations, and now the shit is falling on us. We have to realize it is our fault. This is why scientific institution has gone corrupt, and honest scientists cannot do honest work. They get fired if they try to do something against the interest of the corporation. They have taken control of scientific research. They have taken control of the media. They have taken control of the election system. They have taken control of governments. They have taken control of academia. They have taken control of social media. You can't go anywhere without being controlled by them. And you have no clue how much of it has been destroyed. And it has been destroyed because we allowed this to happen. In a democracy, in a functioning democracy, the public is supposed to have the masses are supposed to be the owners of all these pillars that makes a democracy functional. Even the courts are gone rogue. Today, if you are a poor man, you cannot get justice against a rich man. You can hire the kind of lawyers that decide who wins and who loses. Truth doesn't decide who wins and who loses. Justice doesn't decide who wins and who loses. Money and power decides who wins and who loses. That destruction, another pillar that honest democracy must depend on, has been corrupted, denigrated, destroyed because of you and me. And we do not acknowledge our fucking fault. My parents, my grandparents, the 3-4 generations people have allowed this to happen. As long as we do not acknowledge it, we will never solve the problem. And to solve the problem properly, you have to undo all of this. How do you do that now? Anybody talking about it? Why am I the only one talking about it? You talk about which scientist says vaccine is no good and it doesn't work and all that. This is how, let me educate you something. Science works on consensus, which means If there is one scientific paper that says something against, that vaccines don't work, or there is no use to make a vaccine against coronavirus, there are 500 papers, also peer-reviewed and published, that says it is necessary and paper. So when anybody wants to argue, you keep on taking that selective one or two papers and circulate it like mad. It doesn't make any sense, because if you go to an arbitration, they will pull out the other 500. And if there are 500 that says vaccines are good and one that says they're bad, the consensus will be they're good enough. But the real reason is those 500 exist because scientific research has been captured by the bloody industry. Honest scientists who wants to put honest work cannot get the funds. They cannot publish their papers. They are hounded out of. These are the reasons. These are the root reasons of this. Is we have allowed the control of scientific research to slip away from being honest and transparent to clutches of the corporations who control everything and own all the patents. So how deep do you want to go? How superficial do you want to be? Anyway, these are the questions that don't get discussed. And, I'm Tony Mitra. I'm a cantankerous old fool. And therefore, I'm saying what I have to say and explain why I don't feel too keen to join the protest march at this point of time. But I always look around for deep thinkers. There are around there. Unfortunately, nobody knows them. Nobody heard of them. They're not famous. Nobody has time for them. But they are the jewels that makes life still worth living, at least for me, to hang around and exchange views with them. So that's it. Tony Mitra, done for today. Thanks.